Nice to meet you. Come in.
How are you? Thank you for coming.
Thank you. What a great spot
Yes,
to
my
meet you.
pleasure. My pleasure. Good to see you. Hi. Hey.
Surprised
Nice
me.
to see you.
Oh,
Yes, nice to see you. That's okay, you're not the first one.
I did the same.
Coincidence, they call it Lucifer.
Yeah.
Hello, my friend. This is Mark. This is one of some of my relatives.
Qué envidia, no digas eso. ¿Cómo va?
Buenas tardes y bienvenidos a todos. Mi nombre es Alonso Oliveros, secretario del Instituto de Cultura Oregoniana, donde primero conocí a nuestro invitado de honor. Nos sentimos honrados en celebrar la vida y obra de Efrai Díaz Horna, una figura eminente de la comunidad poética hispana de Oregón. Efraín, que escribe poesía con maestría tanto en inglés como en español, ha dejado una huella imborrable en el mundo literario. Nacido en Talala, Perú, como el mayor de 5 hermanos, Efraín pasó gran parte de su infancia en la bulliciosa ciudad de Lima. Asistió a la escuela primaria y secundaria Santa Rosa y de Lima Marinol. Su excelencia académica le valió una beca completa para el Mount Angel College en Oregón, donde obtuvo una licenciatura en sociología. Al regresar a Perú, Efraín trabajó en el programa de reforma agraria durante 2 años y medio antes de regresar a los Estados Unidos. Luego completó 2 títulos de posgrado en la Universidad de Wisconsin, uno en trabajo social y el otro en políticas públicas y administración pública. Efraín dedicó 25 años de su carrera a servir al estado de Oregón y al condado de Multnomah, en particular como administrador del Departamento de Servicios para Personas Mayores y Discapacitadas. Su partida en marzo de 2001, cuando se jubiló anticipadamente para centrarse en la familia, la escritura, el arte y el trabajo voluntario, fue un momento significativo. A su partida, uno de sus empleados describió a Efraín como una leyenda entre nosotros, filósofo, maestro, artista, poeta, director, un verdadero hombre del Renacimiento. Actualmente Efraín continúa siendo voluntario y dando presentaciones sobre una variedad de temas, que van desde temas hispanos hasta el realismo mágico en la literatura latinoamericana. Artista y escritor de toda su vida, ha expuesto su obra de arte en Oregón, México, Rusia y Perú. Su poesía ha aparecido en las páginas de Expresso, The Oregonian, The Hispanic News, The National Catholic Reporter, entre todos. Entre sus obras destacadas se encuentran Las muchas caras del amor, Aire, agua y cenizas, 4 poemas, El yunque de Dios, La vida de los océanos, la primera antología de la poesía oregoniana, y Cuando llegues al fondo, cava más abajo, traducción de la poesía de Kim Stafford. El arte lo ha llevado por diferentes caminos y experiencias. Esto, unido a la nostalgia de su amada tierra y el vacío existencial que le genera la gran urbe, lo plasmó no solamente en sus poemas, sino también pintando. Efraín comentó una vez que mi arte me ayuda a lidiar con el predicamento existencial y la aventura de vivir en medio de otra cultura. Me ofrece el camino para saciar mi necesidad compulsiva de aproximarme y recuperar mis raíces peruanas. Gracias, don Efraín, por todo su arduo trabajo y contribuciones artísticas a nuestro estado, y por su incansable abogacía del avance hablado y escrito del idioma español. Gracias. Bien.
I was asked to talk a little bit about Efrai and his contributions to the Gordon House, so I will talk about that. My name is Dave Pierce. I'm the chair of the Gordon House Conservancy. We're really honored to have you here today, especially to honor one of our really special volunteers, Efrai. We've been really pleased that you've chosen to have your event here because we know how much this place means to him. And so it's really special and meaningful to have you here today. Efrain's involvement with the Gordon House has a trajectory somewhat similar to mine. We were both bureaucrats. That was his word, not mine, but I would agree. We worked for state or regional governments, and perhaps that dedication to public service carried over into our retirement. We both seem to feel the need to make the world a better place for us and others and make a difference in people's lives. So both of us looking for something meaningful to do in retirement and being interested in architecture, that drew us to the Gordon House. Then our arms got twisted and we became docents to give tours of the Gordon House and share our knowledge about Frank Lloyd Wright. Efrain's ability to give the tour in fluent Spanish was definitely a plus. And that's where the comparison ends, because I only speak a small amount of French, and that isn't spoken very often. But we did have a group of 30 Frenchmen here last year, and I managed to eke out a little tour for them. So initially, Efrain gave tours as many as 3 times a week and 3 tours each day. Goodness, such dedication. As he became more involved in the house, his arm got twisted a little more, just like mine did. And he became a board member around 2006, as well as continuing to give tours. He served in both those capacities to this day. Then around 2017 through 2021, I think that's right, you were vice chair of the Gordon House Conservancy. He didn't want to be chair. We couldn't twist his arm hard enough. But he didn't want to give up working as a docent and mentoring new docents, much like me. So as you can understand, our ongoing involvement with the Gordon House has really created a bond. I should also mention that Efrain has been involved in providing great photography of all the events at the house. He's created wonderful art that we've actually sold in our shop here. And he's also been a constant benefactor to the Gordon House. So yes, indeed, he checks all the boxes that was on your flyer for this event to honor him. Efrain is a true Renaissance man. I truly admire his talent and his willingness to share his knowledge with others. My conversations with him are always a delight and meaningful. His graciousness and his commitment to diversity are impressive. Felicidades, mi amigo. Sorry, I'm getting kind of...
That's nice.
I'm honored to call you a friend. And the Gordon House is really fortunate to have you as a volunteer for nearly 23 years.
Hola, muy buenas tardes. Good evening. Thank you all for attending to this event. Gracias a todos por venir esta tarde a atender al llamado. Me presento en nombre del Estado de Oregón como comisionada de Asuntos Hispanos. Today I am in front of you today as the Commissioner on Hispanic Affairs of Oregon. And the important reason of me being here today is because I'm going to move these a little bit. So I want to kind of make eye contact with Efrai. The reason, or why it's so special, is because Efrain served as a commissioner back in the 90s, if I'm not mistaken, when it was called the Commission on Chicano Affairs. Una razón importante y especial por qué la comisión tiene presencia el día de hoy es porque Efrain sirvió como comisionado allá por los 90s, igual cuando la comisión era de asuntos chicanos. Entonces yo lo conocí antes y luego me enteré que él era comisionado y luego yo me convertí en comisionada y dije, oh, tengo un mentor automáticamente aquí. So it's been very special because I met Efrai before I became a commissioner, and then I became a commissioner, and then I found out he had been a commissioner. So it just gave me an automatic mentor into this journey of politics and diversity and inclusion and all that good stuff that he is very passionate about. Eso lo hizo un mentor automáticamente que me ayuda para mí en este tipo de, en estos temas de diversidad e inclusión que tanto le apasionan a él y que por ahora me están apasionando a mí. Me siento halagada de poder seguir ese trayecto, ¿no? Ya nos dejó un avanzado bastante importante en Oregón y a mí me toca continuar parte de ese trabajo, de esa chamba, decimos en México, que usted ha liderado durante muchos años. So it's very important and special to me because it's just that other generation taking over and, you know, walking a path that, because of people like Efrai, things are not easier, but they are better for people like me and for the following generations. So I want to just express in the name of the state of Oregon that we are very grateful to have you. En nombre del estado de Oregón, me siento orgullosa de decir que un peruano oregoniano ha estado y ha sido parte de la comisión y parte importante de la cultura y del arte y de la poesía también. Gracias, Efrai.
So, Salem Poetry Project, we started the Salem Poetry Project in January 2016, and in the years leading up to the starting of the project, I had a kind of a list of poets I wanted to make certain to include as featured readers, and of course Kelly was on that list. I think Steve's around here someplace, he was on that list. And in August of 2015, I was at the Silverton Art Festival, and I met up with Juan, I met up with Efrai, and we talked about a couple of different things. And Efrai gave me his card, which I thought was nice. He had a card. I don't have a card. I should probably get a card. I still have his card. Hopefully his phone number hasn't changed in case I lose it. But I had his contact information, and he was one of our first readers at when we first started, when we were at the yogurt shop. We were at the yogurt shop, and he was reading poems. And he is really one of the best poetry readers we have. When he delivers a poem, people go a little bit weak in the knees, and it's because of the words, because of the delivery and everything. A couple years later, Mateus and Arturo made me an offer I couldn't refuse, and we had regular Spanish language readers at the Salem Poetry Project, which I think was terrific. It was a wonderful addition, and I think that we're probably one of the only poetry events that have regular readings in other languages other than English, and so it's very special to do that. For a couple of years, and through COVID, Efrai helped out and helped coordinate the Spanish language poets, and without his help, we couldn't have done it. And so I appreciate your work on behalf of that for us. And it was hard during COVID. We were virtual, everything on the screen. So much nicer that we're back in live. So anyway, a big thank you to Efrai for, number one, being an excellent poet and an excellent reader, and helping out with the Spanish language programming that we had for those years. Thank you very much.
¿Qué hora es?
hermano leía y mi padre hablaba sobre aves. ¿Qué hora es? Mi hermana cantaba y mi madre sollozaba sobre la vida. ¿Qué hora es? Mis hermanos leían, cantaban sobre las aves tristes. Mis padres hablaban, sollozaban sobre la dura vida. ¿Qué hora es? Son las 4 horas de ese domínico día peruano en que las tristes aves y la dura vida hacían leer y cantar a mis hermanos huesos sobre las aves tristes que ya no tienen sueño. Hacían hablar y sollozar a mis padres hijos sobre la vida dura que no disminuye las ilusiones. ¿Qué hora es? Son las 4 horas de una somnolienta tarde en que mis hermanos padres abrazan la dura vida con sus tristes aves, mientras yo canto y leo los alados versos de la esperanza. ¿Qué hora es? Es la hora de las aves y de la vida. El otoño. Hervían las hojas, colgaban su destino en las ramas perpetuas. El verde infinito, tenaz, silente, agonizaba. Cedía sus días porfiados a la temprana escarcha y al hechizo naranja de los tiempos. Las hojas hervían, cantaba la tierra. A borbotones, una vez más, lanzaban las hojas destellos de esperanza sobre los caminos del día, y los combativos ojos del estío abrazaban las esclusas del mundo, abrigando las compuertas de la vida. Hervía la nostalgia. Sus rojos colores salpicaban su canto sobre el tumulto de las piedras. Hervían las tenaces hojas. Travesía. Me quité el mundo bruscamente, pueril impulso, y me quedé sin nada, paralelo al olvido y sin raíces. Me puse el mundo nuevamente, trágico ademán, y me encontré con todo enmarallado al viento y sin recetas. Me enterré en el cosmos, profundamente, religioso gesto de meterme en sus catedrales, en sus ríos, en sus grietas tremendas, y empecé de todo y nada, y me empapé de todo y nada, debajo de las sombras de los tigres. Me puse a andar.
Today we gather to celebrate the remarkable contributions of Efrai, my father, whose life epitomizes resilience, community, and belonging. A Peruvian immigrant who has made a significant mark on our community and the state. His journey to Oregon was not just a personal voyage, but a testament to the power of quiet resolve and everyday actions in shaping a better world. He believes that being a true Oregonian isn't about where you were born, but about the love and dedication you pour into the community you call home. This belief has guided his every action and interaction, and it is through these small, everyday moments he continues to leave his lasting legacy. His journey was not always smooth. Sometimes he faced unwelcoming attitudes and barriers. Imagine Mount Angel in the 1960s. None of you would be shocked that he was stopped by the police for suspected vagrancy when he was out for a walk. Nor would you be shocked at his efforts to connect with other Latinos enrolled in Mount Angel College. He was building community brick by brick. He was often underestimated. When courting my mom, he showed up nicely dressed for a date and was goaded into riding a horse. The pranksters assumed he would be thrown into the dirt, not realizing Efrain had depended on riding horses as a means of conveyance in Peru. I would have loved to have seen their faces when he immediately took command of his steed, to the chagrin of those trying to make him look like a fool. Of course, when he married my mom, he instantly became part of a larger community of Zollers and Sanders, one he continues to cherish to this day. In his professional life, his commitment to excellence and fairness earned him the respect and admiration of all who worked for him. He was a mentor, a guide, and a friend, always ready to lend a helping hand or a listening ear. But it wasn't easy. At one point, I remember a supervisor was repeatedly editing his work with a not-so-subtle insinuation he didn't know how to write. I'm sure the irony isn't lost on those that have gathered here today.
Amen.
For his own sanity, he decided to conduct a little experiment. He started incorporating wholesale sentences from memos from that supervisor into his own memos, only to get that exact text corrected. Call it rebelliousness, mischievousness, or self-preservation. Whatever it was, I never forget that story and understand that sometimes you need to know, is it you or is it them? His perseverance never wavered. He continued to work hard to reach out and to build bridges where others saw divides. He taught his children the value of hard work, integrity, and the importance of giving back. He showed us that true belonging comes from contributing to the well-being of others and being an active participant in the community. His lessons were not delivered through grand speeches, but through his actions day in and day out. His dedication to making Oregon a better place extended beyond his immediate circle. In addition to his decades of public service before retiring, he's actively involved in his church and the larger community. Sometimes in very public ways, like when he was the chair of the Oregon Commission on Hispanic Affairs, but more likely behind the scenes. Efrai exemplifies the shared narrative of countless immigrants who strive to find their place and make a difference. His legacy reminds us that the strength of our community lies in its diversity and the willingness of each individual to contribute their unique gifts. Recently, I had the pleasure of being in Peru with my dad as the family said goodbye to his ancestral home, a house where at times 3 generations of us lived together. As we said goodbye to that place, surrounded by family, it struck me that what was significant about it were the stories of the people who had inhabited those walls. What mattered were the bonds amongst family, friends, and loved ones. Those will exist regardless of whether or not the concrete walls are torn down or not, and they travel with us wherever we are. My dad taught me that, even though I had only just realized he had done so. After decades of being in Oregon, Efrai must occasionally still answer the sometimes not-so-friendly question that many immigrants are asked. Why don't, or why didn't you go back home? To which he replies, this is my home. This is my community. Let us carry forward his spirit of community, his resolve to make a difference, and his belief in the power of unity. May his example inspire us all to be better neighbors, more engaged citizens, and true advocates for belonging. Thank you, Dad.
Muy buenas tardes a todo el mundo, mi nombre es Matías Trejo de Dios, soy el director del Instituto de Cultura Oregoniana. Amigo de esta gran persona, ser humano, Efrai Díaz Horna, mi maestro, mi amigo y mi mentor. Lo conozco desde el siglo XX, por medio de un amigo común, Eduardo González Villaña, que me invitó a su casa y me lo presentó. A través de los años he podido ver cómo ha andado, ha trabajado, se ha dedicado a las cosas que tienen que ver con la comunidad, al arte, a la poesía. Lo he visto con su familia, lo he visto con los amigos, lo he visto con el mundo en general y lo he escuchado. En el año 2012 empezamos una aventura común que se llamaba el Instituto de Cultura Oregoniana. Y esa aventura que define lo que es la identidad de esta tierra en español, la gente de Oregón son oregonianos, tenía que estar liderada, y no soy una persona que utilice la palabra liderazgo muy a menudo, por una persona que fuese muy especial. Esa persona tenía que ser una persona honrada, buena, inteligente, con conocimiento y con templanza. Cualidades que juntos es casi imposible encontrarlas hoy en día. Y por supuesto, el gran Efrai Díaz Horna tenía todos esos checks que se habían hecho de esas cualidades. Y se convirtió en nuestro presidente. Estamos en el año 2024, 12 años ya de camino con una organización que al principio era casi un abstracto intelectual, pero que hoy en día pues define la identidad de muchas personas. Y eso ha sido gracias a esta gran persona, Efrai Díaz Horna. Te agradezco de todo corazón tu amistad, tus lecciones y todo lo que haces día a día. Te agradezco las miles de veces que me has agarrado un teléfono para que te cuente mis locuras y me has templado y me has enseñado el camino y me has dicho cosas buenas. Este hombre, de verdad, no soy yo persona de hablar de religión ni de espiritualismo, ¿no? Pero una persona buena, buena en el sentido puro del término, como decía Machado, ¿no? Ligera de equipaje, mucho a eso, y que no tienes que ver qué es lo que vas a caer para darte todo lo que tiene. Ese es Efrai Díaz Horna.
En las palabras de un gran cantor mexicano, Pedro Vargas, no sé si ustedes lo han escuchado, él siempre, después de una presentación o un concierto, él siempre decía, muy agradecido, muy agradecido y muy agradecido. Así me siento, muy agradecido. Y también me viene a la memoria una canción muy popular en el mundo musical. Gracias a la vida que me ha dado tanto. Gracias a la vida porque me ha dado a todos ustedes como amigos. Ustedes han demostrado su amistad hacia mí y eso siempre ha sido un apoyo, un aliciente para echar raíces en esta tierra. Y por eso yo estoy muy agradecido, muy agradecido, muy agradecido y muy agradecido.
¡Bravo!
It's kind of hard to follow all of that. Everybody has really communicated everything that can be communicated about my dad. So I'm going to play a piece for you, and the piece I've chosen, I wanted to be sort of a reflection on some of the themes that we touched on today. My dad commuted for many years from Salem to Portland, and I never knew how taxing that was until I had to do it, except I did it from Portland to Salem. And growing up, I never really knew how hard it was to be a parent until I became a parent. And my brother and I, you know, my parents would always rib us as we were growing up and, you know, in our 20s and early 30s, you know, when are we going to have a grandchild? When are we going to have a grandchild? And I didn't know if it was in the books. Little did we know, now they have plenty of grandchildren. Nobody needs to worry. So the piece I chose is a famous piece by the Peruvian singer-songwriter Chabuca Granda. It's called El Surco. And the title translates to a furrow or a trench made in the soil for planting seeds. The song uses this agricultural metaphor to convey a deeper meaning about life and human effort. In the song, she speaks to the hard work of people who cultivate the land, highlighting cyclical nature of planting and harvesting, using the imagery as a metaphor for the cycles of life, growth, and renewal. The furrow represents not just a physical act of farming or cultivating the land, but also the broader human endeavor to create, nurture, and sustain life. The song also communicates a sense of reverence for land and a recognition of the interconnectedness of humans and nature. It celebrates the dignity of labor and the fruits of collective effort, suggesting that the work we do and the care we put into our tasks are essential parts of our existence and identity. Overall, I wanted to serve as a reflection on the beauty and significance of labor, the natural world, and the enduring human spirit. I dedicate this to you, Dad.
Dentro del surco abierto vi germinar un lucero de infinita soledad, y con una canasta le vi regar con agua de un arroyo de oscuridad. Amala y a la siembra se echó a perder, se echó a correr. Al lucero le gusta la claridad, el agua del arroyo la libertad. No dio fruto, el lucero se fue a alumbrar, y el agua del arroyo le fue a cuidar. En una hora triste quise cantar, y dentro de mi canto quise llorar, y dentro de mi canto quise gritar, pero tan solo canto para callar. Amala y a la hora en que fui a cantar, amala y a la hora en que fui a gritar. Si llorando se grita para callar, y mi vaso sediento no llega al mar. Amala y a la hora en que fui a cantar, amala y a la hora en que fui a gritar. Así se fue el lucero a su claridad, así se fue el lucero a su libertad. No le llegó la hora de clarinar, no le llegó la hora de clarinar, de clarinar, de clarinar. Bravo.
So I found an anthology, I don't think was mentioned, called From Here We Speak, that Efrain's, I'll leave it out if you want to look at it, it's really nice. But it also includes Native American poetry from this area, the earliest poets of Oregon. And maybe some Spanish, I don't know. I don't know all the poets in there. I wanted to say that I always leave this part off, and that's my name. My name's Kelly Morehouse, and I'm a co-founder with Steve Slamenda, that's in the back, for the Silverton Poetry Association. It's an honor for me to be in this position today, these few moments, to give recognition and gratitude to Efrai Díaz Horna. In these few minutes, I will focus more on what makes the life of an artist and poet, which speaks to the essence of who Efrai is, not as much about other accomplishments, since we have heard those and we needed to. Besides a beloved spouse, father, colleague, friend, he is foremost an artist. And the older I get, the more certain I am of the importance and need for artists in this world for balance. How he achieves that particular status is that he lives the life of being in tune with his inner life and his external life. Because he lives the artist's life, he creates art, he creates poetry. He is a wordsmith in Spanish or English, has a spirit that wants to convey, to express to his outside world. It is who he is and who he has become over many years. Of these qualities, an excerpt from Letters to a Young Poet from Rainier Maria Rilke can say it best. So that's from one older poet to a younger poet. So that might be Efrai to us all. I do only want to advise you. It's okay. It's not ageism. I do only want to advise you to keep growing quietly and seriously throughout your whole development. You cannot disturb it more rudely than by looking outward and expecting from outside replies to questions that only your inmost feeling in your most hushed hour can perhaps answer. Everything is gestation and then bringing forth. This is still by Rilke. To let each expression and each germ of a feeling come to completion wholly in itself, in the dark, in the inexpressible, the unconscious, beyond the reach of one's own intelligence, and await in deep humility and patience the birth hour of a new clarity. That alone is living the artist's life in understanding and creating. That's what I feel that Efrai does. He must have read that book a long time ago. It was written in 1903, so he got it later than that. I'd like to leave you with my favorite lines by Rilke and wisdom that Efrai lives day to day. So this is Rilke. I want to beg you, as much as I can, dear sir, to be patient toward all that is unsolved in your heart, and try to love the questions themselves, like locked rooms and like books written in foreign tongues. Do not now seek the answers which cannot be given you because you would not be able to live them. And the point is to live everything. Live the questions now. Perhaps you will then gradually, without noticing it, live along some distant day into the answer. Because Efrain lives everything, we want to publicly thank him for all he has given to our community through the Silverton Poetry Association and the larger community now. He has been a dedicated supporter of poetry for nearly 20 years with us, adding his poetry and his art, his good community spirit to the wealth of all of our events. And now he has spread his wings into other parts of Oregon as well. He is truly a most treasured artist and poet among us.
Para Efrai Díaz Horna, poeta, artista y filósofo, por su sabiduría, bondad y dedicación incansable a nuestra comunidad. Tu arte y tus palabras han iluminado nuestras vidas y tu legado permanecerá siempre en nuestros corazones. Con profunda gratitud y admiración de Vico y de todos los oregonianos.
Muy agradecido. Muy agradecido. Otherwise, I'm not going to be able to go out of this house. But thank you very much. Thank you.